putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Oh, whoa, Nelly. My goodness, better than Reagan. Talked about it earlier. I alluded to it, and I told you this. I said, look, for me to have to admit that somebody has done better than Reagan is a very difficult thing to do. I'm not one of these guys who's all, just philosophically put onto some ideology or whatever. I'm a free thinker, and I enjoy being a free thinker. And the reason why I'm happy about that is because it allows me to be objective. I don't have to look for the angle that supports my position or anything. I'm looking for righteousness, and it isn't that it is in my favor. And that's what I love about us. So here's a deal where I'm thinking, man, Ronald Reagan, he's in the past. But I talk about him often. He's the reason why I'm a conservative, not because he made me one, but when I witnessed what he was, I went, I'm that. That's what they got. And I'm looking at Donald Trump and going, wow, this is even better. Nobody even thought that besting Reagan was possible, but it has happened, folks. This news may send people like Bill Kristol into therapy. But the Heritage Foundation rates President Trump's first year better than Ronald Reagan's. The Trump administration, they write, has pursued policies that have hewed remarkably close to the recommendations of a leading conservative think tank, the Heritage Foundation, which found in a new review that nearly 2/3 of its ideas have been carried out or embraced by the White House over the past year. Not one to dwell on the details of governing, President Trump has shown a considerable degree of deference to groups within the conservative movement like Heritage, leading to a rightward shift in social, environmental, immigration, and foreign policy. The results, Heritage found in its review, exceeded even the first year of Ronald Reagan's presidency, whose tenure has long been considered the conservative gold standard. We have a new standard. Unbelievable. Recall when Trump announced his run for the office, the media went into a frenzy. They started poking fun of what they thought would be a President Trump presidency. Anti-Trump so-called conservatives desperately tried to discredit Trump's ability to uphold conservative values. I know this because I was in the midst of it. My own brother said to me, Kev, I just can't do it. He says he's not a godly man, this, that, and the other. But it was not 2 months after Donald Trump was in office, my brother said to me, I was wrong. I have another mentor, gentleman that ran the Western Conservative Summit for many years. And he said, he sent me an email saying, and he had written a piece, and he sent me the piece, and it was, look, I was completely wrong. I am now on the Trump bandwagon. How many people? He's not presidential enough. He's not this. He's not that. The biggest complaint I heard was, and I laughed about it too, because I said Trump's not a real Christian per se. If you don't know Second Corinthians, he's 2 Corinthians 2. I'll never forget that he did at Liberty University or wherever. I think it was Liberty. But what he said, and I remember thinking, Donald, don't try to quote scripture, man. Just be who you are. He's always accepting of prayer. Pastors praying for him. But you know what got people? His realness. The genuine nature of what he wants to achieve in this country. That's what did it. And then he started doing things. He did exactly what he said he was going to do. And I recall some leftists saying Donald Trump may very well be hated for actually living up to his campaign promises. But he wasn't talking about leftists. They didn't like his campaign promises. He was talking about people on the right, the anti-Trump, the never Trump movement, the guys like Bill Kristol and Stephen Hayes and others. Plotting against this man. I watched them in Cleveland plotting against Donald Trump. It was ridiculous to see. Like I said to everybody, whoever was going to win the nomination needed to get our full support. Am I so happy right now that it wasn't any of the people that I thought should have potentially be put in front of Donald Trump? Imagine a Ben Carson. He wouldn't be president. Imagine a Ted Cruz. As strong as Cruz is and as smart as he wouldn't be president. Rand Paul, name me one of those people that would be president today. And if they were, would we be saying this about them? Or would we be watching them sell out the special interests and capitulate to the deep state, have no ability to influence any of this stuff? Bill Kristol told CNN back at the time, I just don't think Trump has the character to be president of the United States. It's beyond any particular issue I disagree with him on or who he picks as VP of something. And he says he was looking for an independent candidate like Sass. There are many more who said Trump would be a disgrace to the conservative movement and how they would never support him as president of the United States. And yeah, maybe it was a bumpy ride from the start. Because he certainly didn't get any favors. Was the media helping him? Was the Republican establishment helping him? No. But you know what he did? He persevered. He says, I don't care what you think. I will still continue to tweet. I confounded you when I won. That was enough. That should have told you everything you needed to know, given the level of corruption that exists in the deep state, that I was able to win. He stayed the course. He didn't get influenced. Oh, he's very temperamental. We can get to him. He'll look at the polls and everything, and we'll tell him you're only 38% approval, or this idea of yours is lame brain and nobody cares and whatever. And you know what Trump did? I don't care what you think. I'm going to push on my own direction. He went to work. Contrast that to America's former incompetent in chief, Barack Obama, who propped up the economy built on swizzle sticks, literally printing money. Year one economy lost almost 5 million jobs. He didn't have any unemployment decrease like Trump did. He buoyed the Oval Office chair. He didn't man it. And the average duration of unemployment during the time that Obama was president in the first year rose from 19.8 weeks to 32.8 weeks. It almost doubled. For those of you who want to ignore Barack Obama's first year, look at his last year. In his last year, he lost 17,000 manufacturing jobs. And add to the stellar list of his accomplishments, more people on food stamps in the history of this country, more people out of the labor force in history, more living in poverty, $10 trillion of debt later, and you had Obama's feeble economy. He could have given every poor person in America $100,000 a year and we wouldn't have even missed it. Now, enter year one of the man who wrote The Art of the Deal, the man who saved Carrier on a dare after Obama and others said it couldn't be done. Then Obama said, manufacturing, it's gone from America. This is the new normal. But somehow we keep growing manufacturing in America with Donald Trump bringing 171,000 manufacturing jobs back. That's not even a complete number because it's more since then. After the feckless Wonder Boy lost 17,000 the year before. Dozens of companies returning to America all credit the reduction of taxes from 35% to 21%, the Trump tax plan, as the main reason. And Democrats, they're calling $1,000 to $3,000 bonuses that are given out to the individuals by corporations, not by the government. This isn't some government rebate, some welfare plan. This is corporations saying, you know what? You've been wanting to participate in the profits. We're finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Here you go. And the Democrats call it crumbs rather. Well, the people receiving them don't feel like they're getting crumbs. And there's hardly anybody that's going to argue that that money that they got back did not come back from Donald Trump. And hold on one second, everybody. April 15th, they're going to get even more. The result of year one Donald Trump, today there are more Americans at work than in any time in history. Moreover, America has experienced the fastest economic recovery since the Great Depression. No need to put a spin on it. Is it a recovery? Isn't it a recovery? Oh, well, you have to remember where we were and all these other things. Donald Trump successfully put in place Neil Gorsuch. But what else did he do? 90 executive actions, most of them undoing Obama's executive orders, dismantling climate change initiatives, enforcing regulatory reform, protecting law enforcement, mandating for every legislation they got to eliminate 2, going after ISIS, rebuilding the military, building a border wall, cutting funding for sanctuary cities, approving Keystone and Dakota pipelines, reducing regulations on manufacturers, placing a hiring freeze on federal employees, and exiting the U.S. from the Trans-Pacific Trade Partnership. Those are just the beginnings. It's clear this guy is a conservative. He ran on what he said he was going to do, what he promised, and he's delivering to the American people. And the Heritage Foundation gets it. He's done more than any other president in that regard. He's the first president to recognize life and go to the March for Life rally. The first one. First sitting president to address the annual March for Life in Washington, D.C. Tens of thousands of marchers. The left underestimate this man to their detriment.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.